It's hard to believe it's our last show of 2025, Roob.
That is hard to believe. This is our 582nd podcast of the calendar year.
Feels that way.
It does sometimes. But yeah, happy to be here. And, you know, there's no bye weeks for us. There's no resting the starters. We go every week.
We do. We'll talk about what the Eagles are going to do. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast brought to you by Nissan. It is week 18. We've made it to the end of the regular season, playoffs to follow. Happy New Year, everyone. If you're listening at home and celebrating, we hope you have a good and safe New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Roob, this is kind of a weird week in Eagles land because it's easy to look ahead to the playoffs. Maybe we'll do that a little bit later in the week, but there is a game on Sunday.
There is. Eagles, Commanders. I guess when the schedule came out, I think we kind of said that game's not going to mean anything. We kind of had a hunch, and
neither of these games really meant a whole lot. It's annoying.
Yeah. It does potentially mean something, and we'll get into that. But you know, it's a game, and whoever plays, it'll be fun to watch.
That's true. And even if the backups play, I want to watch the backups.
I always enjoy that.
Yeah, I do too.
Guys we haven't really seen.
So let's lay out the scenario as plainly as we can. The Eagles right now can finish no lower than the third seed. We knew that on Sunday. So they can no longer be the fourth seed. It's third or second. Right now, they would be the third seed if the season ended today. But they have the ability to get into that second seed, and there's only one path. There were a few paths before week 17. There's one path left, and it's really simple. The Eagles beat the Commanders on Sunday, and the Bears lose to the Lions. Both games are at 4:25 on Sunday, so there's no watching to see what happens in that Bears-Lions game and then making a decision. It's you have to make a decision, and then you got to see what happens on Sunday. Yeah,
and you can kind of, you know, the option. It's not just cut and dry. Play the starters. Don't. I mean, you only have so many spots for active players, but you can get some of the starters out and play backups if it looks like Chicago's comfortably ahead of Detroit. And we'll see how Nick plays it. Kind of feel like everything's pointing to him wanting to rest as many starters as possible.
Yeah, and we'll get into both sides of it. He was asked a few times on Monday. I asked first about, you know, what's your plan? And he basically said, we're still thinking through this. And that was on Monday afternoon. Tuesday morning, he did his weekly WIP hit, said the same thing. They're still thinking through the possibilities, haven't made a decision yet. I agree with you. I think it's kind of trending toward him wanting to give these guys some rest, because a little bit later in his Monday press conference, he was asked, well, why wouldn't you go and play your starters, try to get the 2 seed? And he brought up the rest factor, and he brought up, you know, trying to earn a bye week if you can, because we've seen that work for them in the past. And he even pointed to last year and being able to, you know, to figure out a way to get that bye.
Yeah. And, you know, also think being at home is a big advantage, especially, I mean, this is the best road team in the league over the last 5 years, but it's tough winning a playoff game on the road. The Eagles have only done it once in the last 15 years in Chicago in 18. They've only done it 5 times since 1950. So, and that second round, I mean, I think having that conference semifinal, that often mistakenly called the divisional round.
We do this every year.
I know, but I don't want to get into that right now. But I just think there's value in having that game, tremendous value in having that game potentially at home. Now you got to win your first game for that to happen, and then the other part of that equation is potentially having the NFC Championship game at home if the 1 seed loses, and that happened last year. I'm not sure the Eagles get to New Orleans if those things don't happen. So there's a lot to weigh, because I do think there's value in resting players and having kind of creating a bye week. But, you know, you can make a case both ways, which you did this morning in a column, and I thought you set out, you know, the case for both possibilities really well.
And that's why this discussion to me is a fun one, because I think some people are very heavily one direction and some are very heavily the other. And I think there are valid things, or there are valid reasons on both sides of them, but it is one of those things where I think a lot of people, if you believe something in this case, you can't even fathom going the other way with it.
Yeah, I think that's true. That's probably true with everything. Eagles related. There's not a lot of people you say, should Kevin Patullo be back? Well, maybe not. I can see it both ways. There's a lot of that going on, but yeah, I think it's not cut and dry, and I think an in between as much as possible is probably the best way to do it. Personally, I think, if that game is 23-0 Bears, there's no reason to have Jalen out there. But man, I think if you have any shot at all realistically, which they do, to be home that second weekend of the playoffs, I think you have to try to do that. Now, I think they can probably beat Washington with Tanner McKee and, whoever else it is, Tank Bigsby, Darius Cooper, whoever they decide to play, Brett Toth, Matt Pryor, as many. But if you want to do the in-between thing, how many guys can you have active? You can't play all backups. You can't bring up the entire practice squad. So I just do think if you have a chance to be that 2 seed, as long as that other game is close or Detroit's up, try to win that game.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's a lot that you don't know. I'm pretty confident Detroit is going to do everything they can to beat Chicago. That's kind of been their MO.
It's such a rivalry.
Yeah, under Dan Campbell this whole time there, though. Like, that would just be so anti Dan Campbell to not really fight and claw to win that game. So I think you can rely on that, and I think there's a legitimate chance. That's the thing. It's like if we were talking about some like a 10% chance to get the 2 seed, I don't think we're having this discussion. But I think there's a legitimate chance, and the Athletics model has it at 38% that the Eagles get the 2 seed. You look at the point spreads in these games, and they've moved a little bit, but Eagles are 7.5 point home favorites over the Commanders, and the Bears are just 2.5 point favorites over the Lions, and that's moved a little bit. I saw 1.5 when that opened. So the odds makers tell you, like, okay, this is a realistic possibility here that both outcomes happen.
Yeah, and it was wild watching that 49ers Bears game, just thinking about the implications for the Eagles, and what a wild back and forth game. We were texting each other, and I was just glad I didn't have to do 10 observations off of that. Because
do you think there was part of the Eagles, like part of Nick Sirianni, that was just hoping the Bears would win that game and take this off the table? Like it eliminates the discussion. You're the 3 seed. You know exactly how to operate.
I doubt it, because I think the opportunity to have the 2 seed is too valuable to do that. And he might not feel that way, but I'm guessing he does. And and I think he probably believes that Tanner McKee can beat Washington. I mean, they're going to have a backup as well. So I think he probably was hoping for San Francisco to win that game. I would guess. Yeah. Which they did. They did.
It was a great game. Let me lay out the situation a little bit better than we have so far. So you mentioned how valuable the 2 seed is. That's basically because if you win the wild card round, you're guaranteed a second home playoff game. And it doesn't mean that if you're the 3 seed that won't happen, but you need help to get there. And we saw last year that was a big deal for the Eagles, getting to play home field throughout the playoffs. They got lucky that the Commanders were able to go out and win a game on the road, and it brought them for the NFC Championship game to Philadelphia.
It's kind of funny how those 2 teams both play into it this year as well in different ways.
Yeah,
Washington and the Lions.
No, absolutely true. So that lines it up there. And then, I don't know if the Eagles can necessarily think about it in these terms, but we can certainly. The opponents differ if you're the 2nd or 3rd seed. And if you end up getting that 2nd seed, you draw the Packers in the first round. They are locked into that 7. So it's a Packers team that is no longer strong with Micah Parsons. They've lost their best defensive player. It's a team that's lost 3 straight, a team that looks very beatable right now. Whereas if you're the 3 seed, you'll either play the 49ers, who will have a chance to earn the 1 seed with a win this weekend, or you'll play the Rams, who, yes, they've lost the last couple of games, but they might have Devontae Adams back, should have Devontae Adams back for the playoffs, and is a team that, for most of the season, many considered was the best team in football.
Yeah, and I think given that choice, you would take the Packers right now with their injuries and their struggles lately. No question about it. The Rams, 49ers, That's tough. That's a tough ask.
Yeah. And it could not be the Seahawks. I've had people ask me about that. It won't be the Seahawks, but it could be the 49ers and it could be the Rams. Do you think that plays a role into the Eagles' decision, like looking ahead at a future opponent?
It should. I think it should. I think it should add more value to being the 2, but I'm not sure Nick feels that way. He probably feels like they could beat any of those teams. He's 4-0 against McVay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We're talking about how tough the Rams are. The Eagles have beat them 3 times in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, but
tough games.
They scare me a little.
Yeah, it took some heroics from Jalen Carter last year in the playoffs and then from Jordan Davis in week 3 this year.
Yeah, been some crazy endings. And look, Stafford had a bad game last night, Monday night, but we throw 3 interceptions maybe. But he still scares me. He's still a really good quarterback. And the Niners, I think the Niners and Seahawks are probably the 2 most complete teams in the conference. They scare me.
Yeah.
Who would you put up there?
The Rams as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure I would. I think they're 1 step down. But
do you really?
Yeah. From the Seahawks and Niners.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think they're right there with them. I think all those teams in the West are pretty tough. And that's not to say the Eagles can't beat them. I think the Eagles have enough talent to come out of the NFC this year. So I think they can beat anyone, but it's about trying to make your path as easy as possible. And we've seen the 2 times we've covered Super Bowl champions, they've made an easy path for themselves. They were the 1 seed back in 2017. They got to play home field throughout the NFC playoffs. And then last year they were the 2 seed and got to play all their games at home throughout the NFC. That does matter. And as good as a road team as they are, like, that's the reason you play all these regular season games, is to fight for seeding to make your path in the playoffs as easy as possible.
Yeah, I guess the last road NFC championship game they played was Arizona in 2008, which they got robbed at the end on a non-call on Rod Hood, covering Kevin Curtis on 4th down. Who knows if they would have won, but they would have had a first and 10. And then before that would have been the Rams in St. Louis in 2001. Similar ending.
Mm-hmm.
Aeneas Williams, I guess, broke up a pass or picked off Donovan at the end, throwing to Freddie Mitchell or Hank Baskett. I forget. But, yeah, so you want
even 22, I mean, they lost the Super Bowl, but they got there because of setting themselves up.
Yeah. Yeah, Eagles have played well in the postseason against the Packers. Beat them in the 4th and 26 game and 1960 NFL Championship game, the only game Bart Starr ever lost, postseason game.
I was like, I think you lost some.
Only postseason game Vince Lombardi ever lost, Franklin Field on a Monday. But anyway, I think you have to take all that stuff into account, and I'm sure that it's all come up. But I think Nick's mindset is we can beat the Commanders with Tanner McKee and some backups in there, and hope that that the Lions come up big. I think that's what he's going to do.
Yeah, that's what I kind of think he's going to do as well. And I don't think that's wrong. Like the Commanders, and we can get into, I don't even know if I'll do matchups this week because it's really tough. You don't know who's playing. But it looks like for the Commanders, Josh Johnson is going to get another start. So, I mean, they're down to their 3rd quarterback. You should be able to beat them with your 2nd quarterback, a guy that, I'd also be just curious to see how Tanner McKee plays in a game where there is something to actually play for.
Yeah, that's true. And I think he'll play well. We've never not seen him play well, whether it's preseason game, regular season games at the end of last year, practice. I mean, I think he's really good. And he's probably better than their 2. Yeah. Not better than their 1, but it's probably better than Mariota, I would think, at this point. So, yeah, I think that would be fun to see. I think he's a really good quarterback, and I think he's going to have an opportunity at some point to be a starter somewhere.
At least compete for a job at some point in his career.
Yeah.
And so the other part of this is like, obviously the reason you would rest players is to rest them, but it also eliminates the possibility of injury.
Sure. For
those players that you rest. So that sounds obvious, but we talk about Nick Sirianni, and he's very anecdotal. He he looks back at his experiences and sometimes to a fault, he kind of takes what has happened to him and his teams and applies it to future seasons, even when there's, correlation and not necessarily causation, right? But in this case, I think he's going to look at 23 and think about, man, A.J. Brown got hurt in that Week 18 game. We didn't have him for the wild card round and we lost. Now, I don't know if they win in Tampa, even with A.J. Brown. I think they were kind of a dead man walking going down to Tampa anyway. But I think that's on his mind this week is like, hey, we lost one of our best players playing in Week 18. If we don't have to do that, I don't know if he does.
I remember a game in Tampa, I think it was probably in 2002, when they actually opened the postseason with Tampa, and they played down there, and Andy played the backups, and one of them got hurt. It was Ike Reese. He suffered a season-ending foot injury, and I remember him saying, "Yeah, I got hurt because because I'm a backup and we only played the backup." So, like he said, if it was a starter, he would have gotten hurt instead of me. So he's like, it's good to know you're not one of the best players on the team and you can afford to get hurt. But
yeah, that's kind of life in the NFL.
Yeah. But yeah,
and if you had to ask the Eagles if they'd rather AJ Brown or Darius Cooper get hurt, we know the answer.
Yeah. And there's a handful of those guys who, those skill guys, you see the way Devontae gets hit, and I know Nick is aware of like Devontae needs, I think it's 44 yards for 1,000. I'm sure Devontae would like to get that. But I don't know if you can risk having him out there to try to do that. Maybe if it was 10 yards, but there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah. And, we talk about like which positions really need rest. It's obvious the offensive line is kind of at the top of the list. You're already obviously not going to play Lane Johnson. Why would you bring him back for this game? Unless there's a situation where you think he needs the work. Lane doesn't need the work. So he's not going to play. And then you're looking at the rest of the line and think, well, they could probably use the rest. Jordan Mailata is on record saying he could use the rest. It's obvious that Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens could take the week off. And then obviously if they're not playing, you're not going to play your starting quarterback. And then if you're starting so there's like a waterfall kind of trickle down to this where, all of a sudden most of your star players are just not going to play. Maybe Tyler Steen gets out there for a little bit.
I would think he would play. Yeah. And defensively, the same thing. Gosh, what if Quignon got hurt or Coop? You can't risk that.
Yeah.
If you have the option.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating. So what would you do? You're Nick Sirianni. How do you play this?
I would do a combo where I would play some starters and keep an eye on the Detroit Chicago game and just play it by ear. I wouldn't put Jalen out there. I probably wouldn't put any like elite players out there, but again, then you're up against a roster situation too. Like you don't have 70 roster spots. It's not a preseason game where you can keep running in waves. So it's a tricky thing. I think you can make a pretty good case that they can beat Washington with mainly backups. I think Nick probably believes that. So that might be the way to go, honestly. Although, my initial reaction after they beat Buffalo was you got to play the starters in Week 18. But I think you make a case that you don't, which you did, and which I'm starting to buy into.
Yeah, and it kind of, like we've said a few times, it sort of looks like they're leaning that way, and I don't know if they'll ever really come out and say it, but we'll see for sure on Sunday.
Competitive advantage
when 16 runs out there.
They might not even tell us Sunday.
Well,
have them both warming up.
Their actions eventually will have to tell us. Let me ask you this one, and this is a question that got brought up to Nick, and he kind of pushed it away. But the way the last Commanders game ended with the big fight, and then Dan Quinn saying we'll see them in a couple of weeks, does that give you any more pause to put your stars out there?
I guess it does. Yeah, I think it does. You worry about Devontae getting cheap shotted or Saquon getting cheap shotted, AJ. Because that team will do it. They'll send one of them linebackers after one of the Eagles guys. Yeah, I'd have that in the back of my mind too. I think it's all part of the equation.
Yeah, I think it has to be part of the equation. And Nick didn't want to, and I understand he's talking about the respect he has for that coach and that team, but it was very chippy at the end of that game. Washington has nothing to play for other than pride. I don't think they'd be like headhunting. I don't think this is a bounty game, but like
bounty ball.
I think they would be happy to lay a big hit when it's close to the line.
Bounty Bowl is one of my favorite games to cover. That was a blast. I think these are all things that go into the decision. They have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had another thing I wanted to say, and this is fun. So, in my column today, I have the disaster scenarios, which is the fun element to this because there are disastrous possibilities on both sides of the decision.
Yeah.
And, I think you have to think through whenever you're making a decision like this, you got to think through, well, what's the best case scenario and what's the worst case scenario with a decision like this? So let's go with playing your starters, right? The worst case scenario is that you play these guys and it ends up not mattering. The Bears win anyway. So you ended up playing your starters for no reason at all. Now they're not rested. Maybe a player or two gets hurt. So now you're playing shorthanded and non-rested next week against either the 49ers or Rams.
I guess you could play the backups in the wild card round. Then you're have them rested for the conference semis. No, that is the concern. And I think the Bears are going to beat the Lions. I think they're going to beat them convincingly. I think the Bears are pretty good.
Offensively.
Yeah, offensively. And I just think it's tough. If you're the Lions, you can say you're fired up for this game, but I don't know if you can approach it like that once you get on the field. If you're down 10-0, then what? I think it'll go the other way pretty quickly. The injury is the number one disaster scenario, and we've seen it before. So, yeah, you want to be as healthy as possible going into the postseason.
And then there's a disaster scenario if you rest your starters and you rest your key players. And this is that the Bears lose. You have an opportunity to make your path easier and you punt on it, basically. The Bears lose, and you had the opportunity if you were to beat the Commanders, and you don't take advantage of it because you don't have your best players out there. Now, we did bring up the possibility that you could win without your best players out there. I think that's realistic, but man, like talk about kicking yourself in the butt or in the back. What's that saying?
I'm not sure.
When you make a mistake and you want it back?
Second guessing yourself?
Yeah, I guess how much would you second guess yourself if you have the opportunity to get the 2 seed and you basically said, nah, we're good, we want to rest?
Yeah, that would be a regret. That's why I think you gotta at least try and have some semblance of a real team out there, as long as you know that 2 is still possible.
Okay.
But I wouldn't play Jalen under any circumstances.
Fair enough. Anything else on this? You want to move on?
Well, what's your sense of, you think Detroit has a chance to beat the Bears?
I do. Yeah. That's the one thing under Dan Campbell is like they play tough. Like he's going to try to win that game. Now, maybe some of the players will check out, but I don't know. I still think the Lions were a good team this year, that things didn't go their way, but I still think there's talent there. I think they're capable of beating the Bears.
Yeah, you could be right. I think it all comes down to what Campbell's approach is to the game. But I mean, if they take it seriously,
we know what Dan Campbell's approach is going to be.
I can't imagine him not going all out to try to win a football game.
Yeah,
I mean, he might.
And why not? Screw the Bears.
Yeah,
try to spoil them a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun day.
Whose job do you think it is to keep an eye on the other game?
From the Eagles, and let Nick know what's going on.
Yeah, because I think it's more than just like knowing the score. I think someone has to know the flow of that game.
Yeah, you're probably right. Probably Grant Calcaterra's job.
He's going to need to play in this game.
He might. Hey, Nick, Yeah, Nick, the Lions just scored. Probably one of the PR guys who's on the field. Yeah.
Well, he's not going to be watching it. Someone's going to relay that information.
Well, you can have it on your tablet, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when Ruben says the conference semifinals, they are referred to as the divisional round. That's the same thing.
By some.
By the NFL, the league that runs those playoffs, they are called the divisional round.
Other than that, I still call the Super Bowl the NFL championship game.
On Tuesday, we got a chance to speak with Vic Fangio, Michael Clay, Kevin Patullo. Want to just ping pong some takeaways from these guys back and forth? How about from Vic? Anything that kind of caught your ear?
Yeah. I like, he talked about, I asked him about Jalen Carter, and he was just so happy with the way he played. How can he not be? But he pointed out that, he only had the 1 week of practice. He came off, he missed 3 games. He said he didn't know what to expect exactly from him. I guess, look, he's a guy who's had fitness issues earlier this year that Vic pointed out on his own without being asked. And he made it clear that Jalen's in great shape and what an impact he had on the game, which you could all see, and just how happy he was that he was able to play. You have the snap counts. My game book doesn't have them. It's an early one, but he played a lot and he played well, and he played well at the end of the game. So that was encouraging to see.
This won't surprise you, but I keep snap counts up in a tab at all times.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. He played 58 of 76.
Yeah, that's a lot of snaps for a guy who hadn't played in a month. Mm-hmm. And he was terrific.
Even at the end of the game, he was terrific.
Yeah, that's what yeah. He was.
And I thought it was an honest answer from Vic, because he said he didn't really know what to expect.
Yeah.
And I didn't either. I was curious. And I asked a few players that, and they said, no, we know what we're getting from Jalen Carter. But I think the coaching staff was kind of curious of what it would look like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I asked Vic about Jahad Campbell a little bit, who got a chance to start in that game. I thought he did some good things. It wasn't a perfect game, but he's played well when he's been asked this year, and it was a long layoff for him. He hadn't started the game since week 8. I thought he played well, and Vic kind of alluded to the fact that he's probably going to have to play again in week 18, no matter what the Eagles do. I don't think Nakobe Dean is worth putting out there, and the risk of re-injuring that hamstring until the playoffs. So I think Campbell's going to play again, and I think that's valuable experience for him to have going into the playoffs, because, heck, we saw it last year. A backup linebacker had to play the last 3 games.
Yeah, and played well. Yeah, no doubt. And any rep that a rookie can get in, is a big rep in a high leverage situation. So he'll probably be the starter next year. I think there's a pretty fair chance Nakobe won't be here. I don't know how he can keep him. I hope he does. Nakobe does, but I think he's going to be elsewhere. I think he'll follow that Milton Williams, Josh Sweat pattern. He can't pay everybody. So if Jahad Campbell's a starter, these reps are huge for him.
You got another one from Vic?
I asked him about the final play, the 2-point conversion attempt. Yeah, he didn't. I was just curious, what it's like for him watching that play as it evolves. He talked a little bit about what he was trying to do, and they wanted to pressure Josh Allen. They didn't want him running around forever. The longer he runs around, the better chance he has to convert that. Had good coverage at the beginning of the play, which they didn't at the end of the play. But I really believe that the hits he took in that game and the sacks, he got beat up pretty good. And he got pressured on that play. And he made the point that, it's tough to throw across your body in that situation, rolling to your left and throwing left. And and it was a terrific play for the defense.
I asked him about stunts because they've run them sporadically, and they seem to really work. That Jalix Hunt got sprung on a stunt during that game. I'm always fascinated by this because there's different teams handle them differently. And I asked him about concrete rules, and he said we do have some. Vic said that sometimes he'll call a stunt, and sometimes it'll be up to the player's discretion based on what the front is showing them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a fun element to that, is that, sometimes they're coming from upstairs and sometimes it's the players on the field. And I've talked to players about sometimes, and they kind of just Jalen Carter goes to Jalen Phillips and says, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking," and okay, yeah, let's try it. I think that's a fun little element to defensive line play.
Yeah, and it's interesting that he trusts those guys enough to leave some of that in their hands, and it's worked so far.
Yeah, especially in a game when you're facing Josh Allen, who has the ability to run the ball, because sometimes stunts do get you out of your rush lane. But not sometimes, they do get you out of your rush lane. That's kind of the whole purpose of it. So the fact that you're willing to do that against a team like the Rams, against a team like the Bills, I think is notable.
Yeah, I thought they were really disciplined against Josh Allen. He had the one long run, touchdown, but I thought that was. I
mean, the touchdown was a tush push.
No, the other one. I'm saying he had the one long run and the touchdowns.
Yeah. The 17-yard run.
Yeah. I thought that. I mean, quarterbacks have killed them running the ball. Think about, that long run that Herbert had in overtime, set up the field goal. How about Cameron Dicker missing a big field goal?
Mm-hmm.
It's like this. I think they said it was the shortest one he'd ever missed.
Wow,
like 44 yards, 46 yards. But yeah. What else? Anything else from Vic?
No, I don't think so. I think that was mostly what I had for Vic. Kevin Patullo, it's a lot of word salad. It's a little bit frustrating, I think, for fans to hear him. Like, this is an offense that stunk. Like, they were awful in that second half. They got one first down.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, like, we were, it just didn't go our way. We got in some third and longs. It's like, I don't think that's good enough.
Yeah. I mean, you'd like to hear a little more accountability.
And I don't disagree with his assertion that, like, the third and longs are killing them. But you and I have kind of joked about this. Sometimes this coaching staff acts like it's just like been dumb luck that they get in third and long, and that's a luck of the draw. It's like, no, you called the plays, you ran the plays that put you in those bad situations.
Yeah. Yeah. And you wonder if they're going to be able to find answers if he can't express to us specifically what the problem is. Like he'll say, like, then we had a negative run on first down, and then we were in known pass. And well, why are you having these negative runs?
Yeah,
because they ran the ball well in the first half. That was the glaring thing to me. They did some good things on offense in the first half, and then it just totally evaporated. And
it was encouraging that first half.
I thought so.
You thought, man, like, this team's about to run away with this game against the Bills.
I thought so too. I thought they were one touchdown away from really putting that thing away and making it, because it's 13-0. If you drive down and score, get 7, now you're thinking they're not coming back. When it's 13-0, you're like, they're going to lose this game. I mean, I thought for most of that second half, the fact that they couldn't score, they couldn't come close to scoring. It's like, and you look at who's on the other sideline. Yeah, I thought they were going to lose that game, but yeah, you'd like to hear a little more concrete from him. And it just makes me wonder, like, if he doesn't have any insight for us, like, what's it like in the meetings? I'm not saying he's going to be just as vague in the meetings, but I just wonder if he has any answers in those meetings. And based on the product we're seeing on the field, I don't think he does.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say. And I like to try to avoid that, like taking what we hear in a press conference and applying it to, because it doesn't really.
Yeah.
Nick is very different in a press conference than he is in a team meeting.
But just the way, yeah, I guess that's not fair. But I do still wonder, because, like, I mean, he doesn't articulate anything specific to us about what's going wrong. And maybe he does in their meetings. I hope he does, but I just wonder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's fair to wonder. The one thing I do keep thinking about that game is, like, if Devontae catches that pass and it counts, like,
yeah,
I wonder what we're talking about. Like, I wonder if they score on that drive, if everything's like, hey, you know what? They did what they needed to do. They got the point. Like, it's a completely different talking point this week, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And they had plenty of opportunities in that second half. He did bring up the backed up situation, which I would have bet money he brought up that backed up situation. your defense just bails you out. they get a goal line stand, and you're going to bring up the backed up situation as being a reason you can't get your offense started.
It was a hell of a goal line stand.
It really was.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a tough guy to bring down. I think Zach Bond got just enough of him on that one.
I didn't know if he did at first when I was watching him play live.
Yeah.
And Adoree on the earlier play, big tackle that we didn't really talk about, I don't think, post game.
No, we didn't. It was. Yeah.
All right, that's all. I didn't really have any other takeaway from Patullo.
No.
Yeah, which is, not great. How about
typical.
Yeah, how about Michael Clay?
Michael Clay was fun. He also spoke. He went to good detail about Jalen Carter's ability to block kicks, which I it's a cerebral thing, but it's a physical thing as well. I asked him about because his timing is just impeccable. I mean, he knows exactly when to go up, when to stick his arm up, and I mean he really works hard. He really preps for those plays. And I said, is that something you can learn, or is that something that's innate in a player, that timing? And he said it's a little of both. But his timing is impeccable on those plays, and he's a difference maker. I mean, they make that kick, they make another kick, they win the game. So that was huge, and he's got such a knack for it. So does Jordan Davis,
and Byron Young, by the way.
Yeah,
those three are normally in conjunction there.
Yeah, that's true. And then I think you followed up on that.
Yeah, just because it's one thing to be able to do it, but the work that Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis put into it, I think that's rare. Like they're not just going out there. Yeah, let me see if I can make a play. Like they're studying and they're trying to identify the fish, as they call it, and they're putting all that work in. How do you think the fish feels, by the way, knowing that he was the target of the plan all week to go after?
Yeah, not good. I like what you asked Michael Clay about. Like, I don't think there's a ton of, I mean, those are superstar caliber guys. Jordan Davis, I think of in that, and Jalen Carter, certainly. They're starters. They're elite starters in this league. I think they're two of the better interior linemen, and they're so committed to special teams. And I think it's a Georgia thing. All those guys play special teams.
Kirby Smart has kind of laid that groundwork.
Yeah, they all kind of credit Kirby Smart. I know N'Kobe does. With kind of instilling in them maybe not a love for special teams, but a sense of how important it is and how you can really impact a game on special teams, and they all play like it. And yeah, that's a big Georgia thing, and I think it's not common to see two starters of that caliber who are so committed. They'll play it, but it's kind of like, oh, I got to go out on special teams now. I mean, these guys, they really make a difference and they really prepare. Yeah,
last year they even added Jordan Davis to another unit. They added him as like the wing on field goal.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like they're adding more.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool to see. You asked Clay about Cam Latu's play. Not much you can say. Don't make that play. Just let the ball sit there.
Yeah. I mean, they're about to blow the ball dead. Like, I didn't think Keeley touched it. Did you have a?
I did think he touched it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Keely's a good special teamer. Yeah, and if 4 special teamers bow out, he'll make the Pro Bowl.
Seems unlikely.
Yeah. Is it in Hawaii this year?
I don't even know. I don't think so. I think they've been doing it in Orlando.
Yeah, I think they have.
Okay. You ever cover one?
I almost did in '88. It was the first time. All those guys went. There was like 5 first-time Eagles, and it was in Hawaii, and they told me to our editor at the time told me to price it out, and the flight wasn't a ton. The media hotel was fairly inexpensive. I came up with a pretty good number, and the editor said, I'll let you know by the end of the day. I'll never forget. I'm sitting at my desk at the old Burlington County Times in Willingboro, and he's leaving, and I look at him. He's like, let's not do it. I was so bummed because I've never been to Hawaii. And apparently it's a great thing to cover. I mean, access is unbelievable,
Maybe it was back then. I've heard not that recently.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe back then, though, it was. Yeah.
It was then. Well, access for the Eagles was unbelievable back then. If you wanted to talk to a player after training camp practice, you could just go up to him and talk to him, or a coach or a trainer. Now you get it like arrested if you even look at a guy wrong. Deion Kane, no. You can't go talk to Deion Kane. What are you, crazy? Anyway, so no, I've never covered a Pro Bowl.
Okay.
Almost did in '88. I think it was Keith Jackson's first. It was Eric Allen's first. I think it was probably Seth and Clyde's first. Yeah. I think it was Randall's first. It was a bunch of first time. Yeah. So one of my big regrets.
Sorry for bringing it up.
No, it's all right.
All right, let's take a break. We'll let you mourn the loss of the trip that never was. We have questions on the other side. And then I did promise you, since this is the last podcast of the calendar year, you get to reveal your top 10 albums of 2025.
When you say like I get to, I mean, you get to hear what they are, is the way I look at it. You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store and nissanusa.com today.
Back on the Eagle Eye Podcast, brought to you by Nissan, Rueben Frank and Dave Zangaro. It's like the last everything of 2025. The last questions of 2025 now.
Wow. I'm going to get emotional.
We do have a bunch of them. Thanks. As always, you can send your questions and comments to eagleeye@nbcuni.com. If you're watching on YouTube, you have the QR code. You can scan it that way and send us a question. Always a ton. So if we don't get to yours, we're trying. We're trying to get to as many as we can. The first one today is from Matt. Hey, guys, thanks for the great show. Matt from Kentucky here, only halfway through, so this could change, but watching an incredible defense, which Roob correctly predicted would only get better, happy and not surprised. The offense looks amazing. I'm watching the TV broadcast for a change, and he who must not be named commented that Sirianni has spent time with Patullo on play calling. Love the combination of plays. Have y'all heard the same about Nick and Kevin working together? Exclamation point.
Matt, wait till the game's over before you email us.
No. I love halftime emails. They're the best. Bonus question. Roob, I'm a huge Dead fan. Who do you like making new music in that genre today?
Yeah, I'm not big on those, on all the jam bands. My friend John saw Fish last night, and he's going to Fish there. I guess they do like a residency at Madison Square Garden at the end of every year. So he's doing like 3 nights in a row. I'd rather just put on.
Get to hear like 5 songs. I'm sorry.
I'd rather just put on a nice Dead show from 77 or 73. And yeah, I did see Goose this year.
Not to be confused with Geese.
No, Goose is better.
Is Goose more of a jammy type?
They do. I saw Daniel Donato, who's kind of big in that world, who's incredible. But then after like 50 minutes or so, I'm like, all right, when's this song going to end? That's never a good sign. But there's nobody I really in that jam band world I really love. Rather just listen to an old Dead show.
Okay, fair enough. Next one is from Joshua.
But I really did believe this defense was going to get better. I mean, they were not good early in the year, but you just looked at how young they were, new pieces, and then you put that together with Vic. And we don't talk enough about the position coaches on defense. I think they're terrific teachers. I think it's a really good defensive staff. And yeah, I really did believe they would get to maybe not this point, but that they would keep improving.
When you circled back there, I would have bet my life savings that it wasn't to talk about the defense, that it was another Grateful Dead thought that came to your mind. But yeah, there we go. I think it goes unsaid, and it shouldn't, that in 2 years under Vic Fangio, we just watched the defense grow into a championship defense throughout the year.
Yeah, with
a lot of different players in these 2 seasons. He deserves a ton of credit. The coaching staff deserves a ton of credit. The players deserve a ton of credit. But I mean, it's pretty unbelievable to watch in back-to-back years.
Yeah. One thing about Vic, and I love Vic, and I hope he never retires. I missed coordinators one Tuesday about a month ago because I had a doctor's appointment. I couldn't change it. And every week now when I sit down, he's like, "Oh, thanks for coming, Roob. It's good to see you here this time." Like,
yeah, he doesn't forget.
He doesn't. It's like, leave me alone. Give me a break.
Holding you accountable.
Yeah.
From Joshua. I think I remember why Jalen Carter made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
He was excellent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he deserved it, but that was like 2024 Jalen Carter that we saw.
Yeah. I think his shoulders were holding him back a lot.
Clearly.
And it's like to see, and we'll see how it holds up. I wouldn't expect to see him play on Sunday, but yeah, I mean, if he can be that version in the playoffs, it's a game changer.
Yeah, I just hope he doesn't have too much on his platelet.
You proud of that one?
Not really.
Okay. From Jim. Why did the Bills take the big chance with the 2-point conversion attempt instead of kicking the point after attempt? They should have kicked the extra point and gone into overtime. We were on the ropes at that point. Our defense was gassed and our offense was already on the plane back to Philly. Yeah,
I think it's a fair question. And I didn't see Sean McDermott's post-game interview. They don't transcribe interviews. I guess they're the only team that doesn't do that. So I never read it. But they had all the momentum. And I think going into overtime, yeah, you would have liked their chances to win that game.
Yeah, typically I side with the idea of try to win the game right there, go for it. But yeah, that was a weird case because the Eagles offense, I don't think anyone had a lot of confidence that they were going to be able to move the ball and get points in overtime. And the defense had been on the field so much in that second half. Like, yeah, I think there is validity in the idea of, hey, just get to overtime and you're probably going to win that game.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I thought it was weird.
Yeah, I'll have to go find out what he said about that because, yeah, I had no faith in the offense at that point. And like you said, the defense played 21-45, I believe, in the second half.
And honestly, if you were to ask the Eagles, like, hey, you can choose this option, which is in overtime, your offense has to suddenly come back to life, or the defense has to win one play.
Yeah.
I think they probably picked the one play.
I would think so.
Yeah. All right, next one is from AJ. I was wondering why Eagles wins often feel like losses, and I thought about it a fair amount today. I figured it's because it all feels like a high wire act that is not sustainable. Eventually, we will play an offense that cannot be contained, and the ineptitude of our offense playing from behind will be exposed. Inside zone, loss of yards. Inside zone, no gain. Incomplete pass on third down, multiple covered curl routes that the whole football understanding world can see coming will fail. We're going to get blown out in the playoffs, and it's going to be humiliating. Just a thought. Thanks for all you do.
Yeah, it's hard to be real confident in the offense going into the postseason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think Kevin Patullo was asked if there's a switch to be flipped, and he didn't like that phrasing. But like, I think there is something to the idea of like, this is a talented offense. We've seen it in little bits and pieces, so I understand why they can publicly have confidence that they'll figure it out in the playoffs. But I think with each passing week and each moment where we want to see more from them, we don't see it. I think it becomes less likely we do in the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's why I kept saying, let's not get carried away with how many points they scored against the Raiders and Commanders, because they're not playing the Raiders and Commanders in the postseason. They're playing good teams. If they're going to win in the postseason, it's going to have to be like the Detroit, the Green Bay, and the Buffalo games. It's going to have to be a 17-13 type of game. And they're going to have to figure out a way to get to 17. I have total faith in the defense I think they're giving up 14.5 points over the last 8 games, which is an incredible number. I believe it's the fewest points they've allowed in an 8-game span since 2004. And that's terrific. If you can hold somebody to 14 points, and then kind of hold your breath and hope the offense can score 17, maybe you can get a pick 6 or something from the defense. But I don't see them winning like a 31-28 game in the postseason or 31-17 or anything like that. They just can't score points.
Yeah. And I think even in this last game, though, I think you could talk yourself into being encouraged if you had that type of
if you're Matt and you're emailing at halftime.
Well, no, yeah, but like they moved the ball in that first half. Like they were able to do good things. And then like the second half, I think it was just more of a product of the approach more than an execution or more than lack of talent. Like I think it was the approach that failed them. And it as confounding as that is, I think if you're a glass half full type of person, you could say, well, Yeah, but they're able to do it when they actually try to do it.
But approach, like, whose fault is approach? Nick and Kevin.
Yeah.
And like, they're not going to change their approach if they're up 13-0 against the 49ers at halftime in the playoffs. What are they going to do differently?
Well, that's the hope, is that like a close call like this game or like the Dallas loss will eventually
It hasn't yet
trigger something. Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't yet.
Next one is from Tim. In Roob's obs, giving credit to Hurts not turning the ball over is the equivalent to the Ice Age wiping out life on Earth except for the cockroaches. 17 yards, 0 completions, and 1 first down in the second half. That created horrible field position and an exhausted defense. Nick Sirianni will never have a coaching tree. He is not an offensive guru. With Jalen Hurts' passing deficiencies, an elite offensive coordinator groomed from outside the organization is a must. Without one, they'll be stuck in the Ice Age.
Good movie, Ice Age. But he already has a coaching tree. Kellen Moore, who's won 4 straight, has done a nice job.
You get to call Kellen Moore part of Nick's coaching tree?
Sure.
Okay.
Why wouldn't you?
Because he was already a head coaching candidate from a previous stop. But
this is his first head coach. This is his first job. I mean, he can be on multiple trees. I don't think the second half was on Jalen. I mean, he was 0 for 7. 3 of the 7 were throwaways when he was under pressure. 1 was a drop that could have been a big play. Yeah, I think he does deserve a lot of credit for not turning the ball over in those conditions.
I agree with you, actually. And in this game, like, Josh Allen turned it over once, and it was a huge play.
Yeah, that was the difference in the game.
Yeah. Not only that play, but Josh Allen also took points off the board when he took like a 19-yard sack.
He did.
And drove them out of field goal range. Like, those were 2 huge mistakes from the reigning MVP. So, yeah, I know it's a low bar, but I think the quarterback who doesn't make mistakes does deserve some of the credit.
Yeah.
Okay.
But thanks for reading my 10 ops.
From Jack.
Even though he hated them.
Hey, haters still read, Roob.
That's right.
It's a beautiful thing. Jack. Hi, guys. I'll get straight to it. I think I speak for a lot of Birds fans when I say that beating down on the Raiders and Commanders doesn't magically make Patullo a competent play caller. He continues to make absolutely baffling decisions and call the most obvious plays. It looks like he's getting his plays from a Madden playbook. It's genuinely insulting to the talent on the field, and he's in the position of power that he is. Please give us something to hold on to here to convince us that this season is going to end in anything other than a wild card loss. A very concerned fan.
Well, I think the hope comes from the defense. That I think they can win. I think they can beat most teams at home with this defense. But yeah, I don't have a lot of hope that they can have a deep run this year. I really don't, because the offense is going to hold them back. And I mean, I was saying all along, those two games aren't going to give us any indication of what's solved or not. So I can't give you that. I can't do that. I just don't feel good about it. I don't know how you can. Like, when's the last time they scored 20 points against a good team? I can't even remember.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been half the season.
Yeah, but the defense is great. They have talent on offense, and the NFC is winnable. I think that's that's what you can hang your hat on right now, is that there's not a dominant team that you just can't beat. I think every single team that ends up in the NFC playoffs is beatable. That includes the Eagles, but
I mean, if they have to play, I can't see them winning that second round game on the road, considering who they might have to play. I wouldn't pick them. I just think those teams are more balanced and they're better. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I think maybe I'm a little higher on them than you are right now. I think they can beat any of these teams.
I think they can beat them. I think they can beat them. I just don't have any faith in this offense right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where I'm supposed to get it. I'm not going to get it from what they scoring 60 points against the Raiders and Commanders. And they could score 30 Sunday against the Commanders. I still won't. I do think they can beat anybody in a home playoff game, which is why I think it's important to try to win if you can, if Chicago's losing. The fact that it hasn't gotten better is concerning to me. Like, we're just seeing the same things over and over. First team on record going back to the late 70s to have 2 second halves in a season without a completed pass. I mean, that's not good. That's 2 is a lot. 1's a lot. To do it twice is crazy.
Next one is from Colby. Hey there, as a longtime listener, I truly appreciate you keeping this trucker entertained. I hope you'll excuse what might seem like a simple question. Considering we've had an exceptional defensive coordinator like Fangio, I'm curious if you believe Nick and KP are open to receiving any constructive criticism or input from him. It seems to me that Vic's expertise could be invaluable in helping them identify and address the issues that defenses are currently exploiting, which they've all seen on film. I feel that someone with Vic's profound understanding of how to neutralize top-tier offenses could potentially elevate our offense to at least an average level. I believe an average offense might be all we need to go back-to-back.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of that going on. You know, Vic's got his own thing he's got to worry about. And, yeah, I don't think they would – I mean, there might be a specific – player they might ask him about if he's coached him before or something, but I don't think they do that.
Probably not a ton. I think that's something that happens in training camp, off season. Like, hey, we're thinking about this play, or probably a little bit here and there in passing. But yeah, Vic's got a lot on his plate.
And also, I don't know if they look at the situation as being that desperate that they've got to ask a defensive coach. I don't know how they look at it.
I don't know if that's an act of desperation, getting input from a guy who's been in the league 40 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like Vic has studied the Eagles' offense either. I mean, he's got to go against them in practice, so he knows what they have. But I don't know. I kind of doubt it.
Okay. All right. If you have a question for us, eagleeye@nbcuni.com. QR code is on the screen. Didn't get to all of them today, but we'll try to get some more on Thursday. Roob, this is our final podcast of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have your top 10 albums of the year?
Let me see if I can find them here. All right. All right. No, that's not it. That's my top 10 live shows. Let's see. With Dr. Dog at the top.
Thought I gave you a pretty good heads up on this.
Oh, this might be it.
Okay.
All right. Top 10 albums of 2025. Number 10, it's a band from Australia called Bel Air Lip Bombs. The album's called Again. Super pop.
Is that a bomb or like lip balm?
No, bombs. Like
bombs.
Dropping bombs.
Okay.
Throwing bombs, deep balls. Haven't seen that in a while. But yeah, Bel Air Lip Bombs. I heard them late in the year, and they kind of super poppy guitar, typical Australian band, real poppy. Number 9 is a band from Connecticut, Sunflower Bean. Their album's called Mortal Primetime. Saw them live in the spring, and they're fronted by a woman named Julia Cummings, who's plays bass. She's terrific, great songwriter. They're great live. Sunflower Bean. Number 8, Guided by Voices album, Thick, Rich, and Delicious. It's there. Nobody really knows how many albums they put out. I think it's 43, plus probably another 70 or 80 side projects, solo albums, Circus Devil stuff, Lexo and the Leapers, Airport 5, all that. This is probably their best album in a while. They're not touring anymore, which is tragic, but the records are still good. Number 7 is a kind of a super, they call it bedroom pop, I guess, like super mellow, shoegazy, a band called, it's spelled Zzzahara, I guess is Ahara. And they're from California, Calabasas. Do you know where that is?
Mm-hmm.
They're from Calabasas, now based in Brooklyn. The album's called Spiral Your Way Out. Very mellow, shoegazy. I like it.
Is that a word?
Shoegazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, shoegaze kind of. Number 6, this is a band called Sharp Pins. They're from Chicago. Balloon, Balloon, Balloon. Another super poppy guitar pop. The band Lifeguard is the same front man, and I don't remember his name, but they're going to be in Philly this spring. So I'm going to definitely make sure I see him. I haven't seen him before. Number 5, now we're getting to the nitty gritty. There will probably be a lot of overlap with your top 10. Kathleen Edwards came out of retirement. She retired from music. She opened a coffee shop up in Canada. And then she decided to make this record. It's called Billionaire. It's produced by Jason Isbell, who was brilliant musician, singer, songwriter, but also a great producer.
Right now, I feel like I'm in like when I go to a Spanish-speaking country, and every once in a while I hear a word that I recognize, and I go, "Ooh,
Jason Isbell." I'm sure you're familiar.
Yeah, that was like that was like someone just said "Hola," and I was like, "Oh, wait a second, I'm on to something here." Go ahead.
He plays some guitar solos on the record too that are incredible. Jason Isbell, formerly from Drive-By Truckers. Number 4, we're getting down to the 3 of the last 4 from the Philly area. Number 4 is a band called Super Infinity. It's one of the dudes from the Districts. And the name of the album is Organica Ecstatica. There's like 50 songs on it, and they're all like a minute long, and it's just great. I saw him play Philly Music Festival last year, 2024. And he put out the record this year. I love the Districts. Are you a Districts fan? You probably.
I've heard some of it, but
they're
I
really
wouldn't say
good.
I'm a fan.
But his solo stuff is terrific. And I saw him play at the Philly Music Festival with our former colleague, Pat Berkery. You know Pat, right? He worked for Calkins, covered some Phillies. Great drummer, plays with a lot of different bands. He was playing with them that night. Number 3, Archua is the name of the band. And I have to, I guess, full disclosure, I play keys with them. I'll be playing with them Friday night in Doylestown at Puck. The album's called The Great Beat.
You act like there's some great conflict of interest here that we're gonna take grant money away from you.
I'm not on the album, so I think I'm still eligible for voting for it. Archua, so Arch, he fronted a band called Illinois for years. They played all over. They played the Reading Festival. They did a bunch of big tours. This is his new band, and he wrote the theme song for the show Tires, which is on Netflix. It's a song called Familiar that's on the record. That I'll be playing Friday night. Great song. Have you seen the show Tires?
I do. Yeah, this isn't another word. I'm like, hey,
Dave
on that meme where I'm pointing at the TV.
Dave recognizes the word tires, but it's a funny show, and he sold the song to Netflix, and they're using it as the theme song, and the whole record's great. Number 2, Craig Finn from the Hold Steady. Craig Finn. That was, I think I texted you a photo of our old casino where I parked when I saw him at Brooklyn Bowl. Mm-hmm. The record is fantastic. It was produced by Adam from War on Drugs, Adam Granucel, however you pronounce his name. Did a great job with it. His songwriting is amazing, and very detailed storyteller songs. He's one of those few musicians you can go see just him and a guitar, and it's like you don't need more. But his full band shows are good too. Number 1, another Philly band, the Tisberries, another band I play keys with sometimes, but I'm not recusing myself because I'm not on the album.
And also, there are no rules to this.
There's no rules.
I want to point out.
But Tyler from they're all from Philly. They all live in it doesn't matter where they live, but they're based in Philly, Manayunk area. A great live band, especially when I'm playing keys for them. But the record is terrific, very, very poppy, great songwriting. It's one of those bands that I don't think they realize how good they are. But check out the Tisberries, check out all of them, and send in your top 10s with your emails so we can read them all.
No, don't do that.
In our first podcast of 2018.
Please don't do that. 2018?
20.
What year is
26?
Yeah.
I still have that double joint game on my mind. Here's my honorable mentions. No, I won't do that.
Let's do that after we stop recording.
I'll sit here and read them to myself.
If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, click the like button, subscribe there as well. Happy New Year, everyone. Please be safe if you're going out. We'll talk to you next year. How about that? Ruben Frank, I'm Dave Zangaro. This has been Eagle Eye, brought to you by Nissan.